digits. The object of the game is to use the digits 1 through 9 in each row, again in each column, and then again within each, it wouldn't be a quadrant, what would that be?
Square.
Each square, without duplicating the number in any of those fields, which is really a challenge. But if you start off with the right kind of mentality about it, you can really learn how to enjoy Sudoku. This game was actually popularized back in 1986 by a Japanese puzzle company. They trademarked the name Sudoku, but the original version appeared in a newspaper in the late 19th century in France. So this game and variations of this game have been around forever. This particular version of it was invented back in the late 70s by a gentleman who had retired as an architect and was a game consultant, where he would just create puzzles. And his puzzles were printed in the Dell crossword puzzle books and the Dell puzzle books back in the 70s. The game is now a worldwide phenomenon, and there are TV game shows worldwide. There are world championships that happen all over. We don't hear about it because we're not in the mix. But you have to be really good and really fast. The fastest I've ever done a puzzle was an easy puzzle, and in about 4.5 minutes. That's not anywhere near good enough to be on any of those platforms and try to win a game show. The object of the game and the way to learn it is to really come up with a strategy. And the way that I finally came up with the strategy that was going to help me is I downloaded an app. And also, to give you another idea of the popularity of Sudoku, when Apple first put out their App Store in 2008, within the first 2 weeks, there were 32 different apps just for Sudoku. So the way that I use my app is it gives me tools that allow me to know what I'm doing. So remember, we have 9 digits. There are 9 quadrants, so we're going to be using each digit 9 times. When we look at the tools that are on your app, it's going to tell you 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to tell you how many times you've used it. And it's going to increase as you've used it, and then black out that number so you know not to use it anymore. So it's kind of a learning tool. So here we would see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones on the board already. So just as an example, it would have the number 1 and then 5 as a superscript. The way that I like to approach the puzzle is I like to start in each box. And what I'll do, and remember, everybody has their own method, but you have to start with something so that you know the next step. The first time that I did it, I got a book of Sudoku puzzles, and I was just determined to figure it out, and it took me probably about 2 hours to do that first puzzle. So you want to break it into small pieces. Take the first square and say, okay, here's the 1. The 1 is already here. Here's the 2. Can we figure out where the 3 would be? What I would do is look to see if the 3 is anywhere in any of those rows or any of those columns. And we can tell right here that there is no 3 available, and it's not easy to figure out where that 3 is going to be. So we're going to skip it for now. We're going to attack that later on. We have a 4, but then we have a 5. There's no 5 in my first square. There's a 5 in this row, so I know it's not in this row. There's a 5 in this square, so I know it's not in this row. That leaves these 2. Now I'm coming down the columns. I see a 5 in the first column, so I know the 5 is going right in this square. So that's one way that I start attacking the puzzle. Another way that I'll attack the puzzle is, once I've gone through all the squares and filled in as many of the boxes that I can, I go across. and I'll do a row across. So here I see there's no 1 yet in that first row, but there's 1 in the first box, no 1 in the second box, and there's a 1 in the third box. So I know the 1 goes in this square here. And that's how I attack the puzzle, and that's how it's led me to enjoy playing Sudoku. I use it as a relaxation tool. If I can't sleep at night, I'll play a couple games of Sudoku. Yes, the phone will drop on my head occasionally because I'll nod off. And other times I'll get really involved in a game that's a tough game, and I'll end up staying up for hours playing it. So that is my little lesson on how to attack Sudoku to enjoy it. So now, who here is ready to try their hand at Sudoku? No.